What is going on, Lake Pro Tackle fam? Hope you're having an amazing day today. Today's video, we're gonna be talking about a specific technique that myself, Tim, and a whole lot of other people have a lot of success on. It's something that I don't talk about quite a bit, but it's something that I guarantee you can go out and just absolutely smash fish. Even fishing behind people from the bank, from the kayak, from a boat, doesn't matter. You're gonna be catching fish in the most pressured places, especially during this fall transition. Now, all times of the year, this technique will work. However, when it starts to get really tough, O2 levels are dropping, thermocline is very established and yet still about to start mixing through turnover, we're gonna be talking about this little technique here. I call it finesse flipping, finesse power flipping. We're gonna be taking a lot smaller lures. You know, your typical lure that people are gonna be flipping right now, they're gonna be flipping brush hogs, they're gonna be flipping rage craws, they're gonna be throwing a wide assortment of flipping baits. However, we're gonna size it down a little bit. We're gonna take some of my favorite baits right here. As you can see, 3-inch chigger craw and a 2.5-inch little super trooper from Berkeley. Now, the bait themselves are amazing baits. I absolutely love the bait shape. I love the action. I love everything about them. Max scent, whether or not it makes a big difference, that's up to you. I think it makes a little bit of a difference, but we're going to be talking about the baits in particular here. So, you know, kicking it off, my regular go-to is going to be a 3-inch chigger craw. This bait right here has some big old flappers on it, but the main body is only about 1.25 inches. So overall, this bait, very small profile, but still kicking on the way down. Little bit of a more finessier action is going to be a little super trooper. Same slender body, however, the kickers on here are going to be moving a whole lot more water. So typically in cleaner water situations, I'm using the little Super Trooper. In all types of situations, I'll be using this chigger craw here. Now, the 3-inch variety, you know, it's not that big. Claws make up half of it. Super Trooper, again, little, small, kind of like that Ultra Vibe Speed Craw type feel. Now, I've got a couple rods here. We're going to be talking about those, but let's talk about hook selection. This is by far one of the most important key factors when finesse flipping. I don't want you to have a hook that's too heavy, and you can't have a hook that is too light. Now, I've got a bunch of options here. My go-to overall is going to be the spear point hooks. As you know, I absolutely love spear point. They keep your fish locked on no matter what with that V-grip technology. That 2/0 regular EWG. Now, they make a heavy gauge, personally, just for hookup ratio purposes and also bending the hook. This regular one is absolutely perfect. I've boat flipped several 5, 6, 7 pounders on this regular hook here. The heavy EWG is especially made for that super thick cover, that dense vegetation. This one right here, a 2/0 is great for a chigger craw. Now, it barely fits in there. I'm gonna open it up here, show you kind of how it's going to fit in and how I like to rig it. Again, like I said earlier, it is not a super heavy gauge hook, and this is a technique where lighter line is going to shine a lot more. Typically, I'm going to be using around 14 all the way up to around 18 sometimes. Now, you can always go heavier and heavier, but I find with lighter line, you're going to get more sensitivity and you're going to have more hookup opportunity, meaning you're going to get more bites. Now, here's a 2/0 EWG here. I'm going to barely penetrate through the back, and I'm going to come out like maybe 1/8 of an inch behind it, just a regular Texas rig. I'm going to leave the little line tie exposed just to increase how much of the bait I can grab onto here. Now, you're going to notice that the hook really just kind of pops out. You don't have a lot of meat in this bait here, so what you do now is you are going to take the bait and you're going to take the hook point, you're going to shove it straight up into the nose of this bait. So just like you would normally with a just normal Texas rig, instead of going up through the bait, you're instead gonna go into the nose, just like this, if you can see that there. I'm in the nose, I'm not even through the bait really, and this really provides just an exceptional hookup ratio. You know, the hook point very easily goes straight through the plastic, very weedless. I don't even leave anything exposed. I tuck it all the way in there. This hook is a thin enough gauge to where it just goes straight through the plastic, the max scent, and you know, you can get several uses out of this one chigger craw. I think I've caught, on one chigger craw, I think I've probably had around 15 to 16 fish all on one of them. You know, if it does break, through the top side here, what I'll do is I'll just flip it around, I'll turn it sideways. Maxent is very good for that. So that rigging method right there is going to be the Chigger Craw on a 2/0 spear point EWG. We've got several other options here, so we're going to run through them. And we're also going to talk about straight shank and how you can improve your straight shank hookup ratio and, you know, keeping your plastics on there. So 2 other EWG style hooks are going to be the Owner Haymakers. If you know, you know, these things are absolutely killer. What's great about these is the hook point slightly points up, so your hookup ratio is literally just exceptional. What's great about these also is they make a 1/0 variety. And the 1/0 is going to be very similar to what you're doing with this guy here. But the 1/0, in terms of the super clear water with the Super Trooper, it's even better. So you're going to get a whole lot more uses out of your Super Trooper. Again, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing. I'm going to take it straight in the nose, and I'm going to be coming through the middle of that bait. So perfectly rigged right there, straight through the nose, and all protected from, you know, getting snagged up or anything. So that is a finesse way of doing it with EWGs. We also have the ProX hooks. This one is also a size 1. It's a little bit bigger than the Owner. I would say it's kind of like a 1.5/0 between just a normal 1/0 haymaker and a 2/0. A little bit bigger, a little bit thicker gauge as well. So if you do choose to go the higher line strength route, ProX is an amazing one to do that with. So we've gone through the Haymaker, EWG, and ProX. Now, moving into the straight shanks, typically I don't do it a lot, but when I'm in a pinch and I need to go very, very finesse with these G Finesse right here, these are going to be their straight shank, tournament grade wire, heavy cover finesse worm hooks, essentially. So if you like drop shotting or power shotting, these are absolutely amazing. The keeper, I'm not the biggest fan of. I find my lure slides down it and gets ripped up quite a bit. So here's another option. So Rugi has these guys right here. These are the TC keepers. What's great about these are they're basically heat shrink tubes, and you can put them on just about any straight shank hook. There it is. So another really great hook from Spear Point is going to be their straight shank worm hook. Now, it doesn't have a great keeper on the back of it. As you can see here, there's literally nothing there. So what I'll do is I'm going to take this TC keeper, I'm going to slide it on, and you're going to make sure that the point or the area that has the 2 little hooky doos on there is on the front side towards the eye. All we're going to do now is take our lighter and apply some heat. It's going to start shrinking for us. There it goes, right about there. That looks good. Now we got just a super amazing keeper on there, and you can put a little more if you want, a little more heat if you want, hold it a little more snug, but the Spear Point does come with little barbs. It's holding on very, very tight, and this will work with the Chigger Craw, and it will work with the Super Trooper. So got another Chigger Craw right here. These guys are extra juicy today, so I'm going to smell like Maxent the rest of the day. It is still a little hot, so I'm going to dunk this in my coffee, cool it down. Tastes delicious as well. And let's go ahead and rig this one up. So if you are a fan of straight shank, this is definitely probably going to be your preferred method. I'm going to go straight up this keeper. Well, popped out the top, but that's all right. Imagine my line's on there. And I'm going to go again kind of right in that nose area. And you've got a very weedless Chigger Craw. So finesse flipping, again, it is very similar to normal flipping. You're just going to be sizing down your baits. You're going to be really putting it in the very, very tight places. And typically when I'm doing this, I'm using a 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce. I'm not really overdoing it, and it's going to be tungsten. I'm not overdoing it. I don't need it to rock it down to the bottom. The great thing about these 2 baits in particular, and other baits like them, is that even on a slow fall, they're still going to be moving. You're going to be able to feel everything going on. Such a small package as well, you rarely miss fish. They really just get that bait most of the time, suck it all the way into their mouth, and you're going to hook them. So hookup ratio terms of this finesse flipping method is very, very high. guarantee you, again, you can go behind people, some of the best people out there on your lake or pond or whatever, and you are going to catch fish behind them. Now, in terms of colors, I like to keep it very natural. Green pumpkins, something like that. Canada craw, rusty craw is another great one. It's got a little white on it. Black powder in the Super Trooper. Don't mess with that one. That one is absolutely killer as well. I think they just think it's literally anything. Could be a leech, could be a bug, whatever it is, gets in their face and you're gonna catch them. So with this method here, I absolutely love shorter rods, one, and more parabolic rods. You don't need a ultra stiff rod unless you are really getting into that extremely dense vegetation or dense cover. So kicking it off, probably the heaviest one out of the bunch here. One of my good picks here is a Champion XP from Dobbins. This one is a 734. So this is a little bit longer, probably the longest one that I'd normally choose. 734 gives you just enough length to really cast these out if you want to do that. This is more of a flipping method. You can still drag these just about anywhere. This one's going to give you that option to do so. Full cork handle, tons of guides, tons of sensitivity in this Champion XP as well. It's going to be kind of that like medium heavy-ish feeling. It's going to be semi-fast, a little bit bigger blank, but as you can see here, it is still going to have a good amount of backbone running down the full length of the rod. So in terms of where I'm going to be throwing this, it's going to be a little bit denser cover vegetation especially. This is going to be a great one for you. This is also not a bad price point, kind of at that $270 mark. You can do a lot of different things with this. Shaky head, you can throw frogs on this even, buzzbait, spinnerbait, jig, is everything that it says on here. But for finesse flipping, you've got the power, you've got the bend to keep those fish pinned. Excellent choice. Moving up here, we've got a couple P5 rods from Megabass. This one here is the X-Bite. It's a little bit faster rod, I will say, but it is going to be kind of that true medium heavy feel. Extra little backbone at the back, great tip. So this one here is going to be a 7'2", I believe. Yep, 7'2", and is going to be a 5.5 power. This one is great for quick flips, really quick. 7'2", you can really get it out there. 14, 15, 16 pound line. Again, my preferred method. If you like using braid, even better. This rod is great for that. Has a little bit of that tip there that's gonna flex and really just stiffen up through the backbone, moving back to the third and fourth guide, or I guess second, third guide moving up. But this one's going to be a great one. Another one very similar to that is going to be the Dark Sleeper rod. Very similar to the X-Bite. It's gonna have a little bit softer tip on it, a little softer midsection here, but definitely that same stiffer body in the very back of the rod. This one here, 7'1", a little bit shorter, 4.5 power. So a little bit lower. This is going to be probably my go-to setup in terms of just action and power throughout the whole thing. I can still jack the hook on them, and this rod is rated for 1/4 to 1 ounce. So perfectly within that zone. Again, Dark Sleepers range from like 1/4 ounce all the way up to 3/4 ounce. That's what those were designed for. Really thin hook. You're gonna keep those fish pinned and not bend the hook out just because of that added layer in the blank here, that 5B construction. Moving on to the top of the, oh, I guess almost top of the line that we have at the store. NRX Plus here. This is a 843C. This is going to be an MBR, a mag bass rod. So the mag bass rods have a little extra parabolic bend through them, so they're not extremely fast like your jig worm rods. That's why I absolutely love this one. It's going to be a more moderate blank throughout the entire section of the rod here. It's going to be very just standard medium plus. Reason I love that rod, it's also going to be a 7 foot. So if you're flipping extremely close, nice and tight, let's say you're fishing a river system, this is going to be able to get that bait where you need it to go very efficiently. Full cork, again, I absolutely love the full cork rods. And again, NRX feeling, you're gonna have extreme sensitivity the entire time. CI4 plus grip here and everything, you know, NRX Plus is absolutely amazing. Love the recoil, guys, and everything that comes on here. So I hope you enjoyed these rod selections. You know, in terms of reels, any high-speed reel is going to do. You can throw an HG if you want, you throw an XG. Doesn't really matter to me. I try to keep my reels between a 70 and 100 size. So really anything works, especially if you're just flipping. You don't need something that can cast extremely long distances. If you're packing braid on there, even better because it's a little bit thinner than the fluorocarbon counterpart. So I hope you enjoyed. Again, I want you to play around with these. It is definitely a really great way and a fun way of catching fish. I was out this weekend with my boy Peter Husser, My Chaotic Fishing. Go check him out. We absolutely slayed fish with this right here. Throwing a chigger craw and a little super trooper, again, in the max scent. I don't know if it matters. They also make a regular non-max scent version, just a power bait version of the chigger craw. They tear up a little easier. My goal is to help y'all, number one, catch fish, and two, not spend a gob ton of money on a bunch of baits. And this is definitely one of the more tried and true ways I have found to catch a bunch of fish throughout all times of the year. Now, when it does get tough right now, this is going to be a great way to just go up shallow, go finesse flip. You're going to have a great time. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel. Only about 6% of y'all that watch these videos are actually subscribed. So please do me a big favor, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy it. We've got a bunch of new stuff coming out. Follow those social media for updates daily on what's going on in the shop here. You know, I try to do a story a day, kind of letting y'all know what's hot right now, what people are getting, what just came in the store. Of course, keeping up with the Mega Bass Respect Series colors, that's a big one, so definitely do that. So thank you guys again so much for watching. We'll see you next time at Lake Pro Tackle. See you guys.